Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here. At the moment, I've got the house to myself, so I'm trying to make the most of it and enjoy it. I want to talk about some of my principles or values or ethics or morals. I use these terms interchangeably. So, um, to be honest, even though I'm born and bred in England, my English is not that great, as you can probably tell by seeing my punctuation or whatever, or even hearing me mess up my words when I'm trying to even communicate normally. Anyway, even when I'm trying to construct simple sentences. But yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm using those words correctly. But as I say, to me, like principles, values, ethics, morals mean the same thing, really. That sort of thing. Which all of those things, principles, values, ethics, and morals, mean the same thing to me, which is that it's what you stand for. So I'm not sure. As I say, I'm not sure if I'm using those words correctly. But yeah, these are the sort of things I wish to encourage. And I suppose if I could change one or two people who have to change their principles, people who have arguably negative principles, if I could change one or two of them, I think it'd be great. Although I don't want to be arrogant enough to say my principles are better than other people's. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling, so I hope I'm making some sense. But so before I start my list, I know I should probably do some more videos which are not in list form, but at the moment I'm just going to stick to this list because it's easier to work on at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to try and do some videos soon, hopefully, all being well, I promise, which are not in list form if I can. But yeah, so I often try to plan to get around to stories as well and things like that, but I'm already mentioned. And I'd love to be able to have the confidence to sing, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that either. But yeah, anyway, sorry. So before I get to my list, I will say that some of my principles include things like treating other people as you wish to be treated yourself, however you want to put that, like do unto others as you would do to yourself. Not that I'm hugely religious or spiritual or holier than thou or anything like that, but not that I'm holier than thou or anything like that. But yeah, so treat other people as you wish to be treated is one of my principles. Another one is if you're good to me, I'll be good to you. So I thought I'd get that. For some reason I decided to include that in the intro rather than this. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling and get on with my list because I don't want the video to be too long. So I often say, as ever, please do let me know what you think or what your principles are, what principles I talk about, or ethics, morals, or whatever I call them, which ones you agree with or disagree with as you see fit, and what your principles are, as I say, or whatever you want to comment in the comment section below. And just want to say on that point, though, I'm not accountable for anyone if they send links in my comment section. Please be wary if you open them. I'm not accountable for any links that people might post in the comment section. I get some weird comments which seem to have links to them, which you probably shouldn't open, but I just want to say that I'm not held accountable for those. But yeah, you can comment whatever you want in the comment section, as far as I'm concerned. YouTube might agree. But anyway, I'm going to crack on. So, number one, I wish to encourage people to always obey the law, always do things within the law. I myself always like to do things within the law, and a bit biased off me, so as I'm no angel, I do have my own flaws, but for my sins, I do have a few biases, like people with things in common with me, like olive skin, which is like people from Eurasian, transcontinental, Mid-Eastern, and Mediterranean nations, as well as my fellow Anglo-Indians, other mixed race groups as well as a separate group, and also learning disabled people. I would love to get all of those out of any crimes so that they would always obey the law. So I'm a great believer that you should always try and do your best to live within the law. And I myself may promise to God and also to humanity to try and always be within the law as much as I can. Even if I went abroad, I'd always try and obey the laws of those countries. And I suppose if I don't like countries' law, I probably won't go there. I don't agree with like going to someone's country and saying I don't agree with their law, but I'm just going to break it. I think if you don't like a country's laws, you shouldn't go to that country even on holiday or even to do business or whatever. Like if you don't like the way Saudi Arabia treats women or whatever, you could always boycott the country. But I don't think you should go there and say I'm going to do whatever I want. And if Saudi Arabia has rules which say that women have to have their heads covered or whatever, I suppose if you have a feminist group, then they probably should just boycott that country. But and then maybe that country will change. But I don't think you should go there and say I want to do that just because I disagree with your way of life, if you know what I mean. I hope that made sense. But yeah, so basically every country we go to, this group I want to make, every country we go to, every country we do business in, or even charity work or anything else, or any country we live in, I think that we should always obey the law if I put this group together. Or that's what I encourage people to do anyway. And I hope to do that, obviously, do so myself, because I think that's another thing, leading by example. Number two, yeah, I think it's another principle I have, is I think that, as people say, you have one mouth and 2 ears. Normally when people first meet, I'm really quiet and shy, but then when I come up my shell and I talk about something I'm passionate about, I can waffle quite a lot. But I think one thing I'm trying to learn to do is like listen more. It doesn't mean you're going to follow everyone's advice, because some advice is contradictory, but I think you should listen to each advice and then decipher which of those pieces of advice you're given are best for you, or best for what you best for you, what you want to achieve, or what you think is best generally, which obviously I suppose means the same thing, I guess. But yeah, which ones you're going to act upon. But yeah, I think you should listen to everyone and then follow the ones you think are best. Obviously, you can't follow everyone, because someone might tell you one thing and then someone else might say the opposite. Like some people might say you shouldn't have higher aims or higher goals because you'll only be upset, whereas other people might say you should set your goals really high because then you'll achieve a lot more. Even if you don't achieve those dreams, you can still, even getting half of those things done that you've aimed for, you'll still feel good. So I think that you can't always follow all advice, but you can probably try and listen to as much advice as you can. And I don't really read much, but I do watch a lot of YouTube videos and try and listen and take that advice on board. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with my list. I don't want to be too long. Number 3, I'm a great believer in libertarianism, live and let live. It's a difficult dilemma because I believe in God and all that, and the biblical teachings about, like, I find it a bit strange and confusing. I probably disagree with about a few of the things and what freedom is, like, to me, but supposedly do what thou will is supposed to be satanic. But like for me, that seems like freedom, which is strange because according to the Bible, God will set you free. But to me, freedom is doing whatever you want to do without fear of reprisal or repercussion, and stroke or not having to do what you don't want to do. So I try and live and let live, and that, just as I want other people to do for me. Just like I said in the intro about not treating other people as I wish to be treated. And so I'm a great believer in that. Live, as long as you're within the law, you don't break the laws and all that. In which case, I suppose the government can deal with you, or law enforcement. But yeah, so I'm a great believer that as long as you're within the law, like some people, like socialists or communists, they don't like it if people don't pay a certain amount of taxes or whatever. But to me, that's between them and the government. So if anything, I'd love to lower taxes and give people more individual freedoms. Number 4, on that note, though, I would love to have a tax on wars somehow, if I could, the weapons trade, the military industrial complex, or militaries around the world, if I could. I should probably be careful what I say. But yeah, I'd love to have taxes on those things and use money on those taxes. Like if we could tax every military in the world and every weapons trade and all that sort of stuff by 10%, we could call it an M.K.S tax. I'd love to have the credit for doing that. Not the financial credit, but the accreditation. I'd love to be given the credit, if you know what I mean. I'd love it to be part of my legacy to do that. But not that I'm going to be a martyr or anything, but you never know, maybe. But yeah, sorry. Lame attempt at humor. But yeah, I think that money could be used to, so we tax the militaries and all that by 10% of the wars and weapons trade and things like that. I think we can make the world a more peaceful place probably because there'd be less of those things possibly going around and they'd be less profitable, so peace would be more profitable. I think another thing is to boycott companies that lobby for war, or countries or companies, if we can, that I think mixed race people should boycott companies or countries that are involved in war as much as we can. Probably might not be possible, but I think we should give it a best shot. And also that money could be used to feed the world, make sure everyone has water, shelter, provide clean water, clean shelter, and all sorts of things like that. Another thing is, another controversial idea of mine is that I don't believe that people of colour should join Western or imperialistic militaries because of what they've done historically to people of colour and because of colonialism. And I think instead we should support people like the Indigenous Australians. Anyway, I'm going to crack on because I could go on about that point quite a lot, but I realise this video is dragging on a bit. So number 5, again, I think like obeying the law, trying to be the best you can be and be the most positive and constructive person. Sometimes I watch documentaries about people who have committed horrendous crimes and things like that. So I think it'd be interesting to find out how you could go into the mind so that you could stop them perhaps from doing so. But I think like sometimes I wonder why I'm sure many people also wonder why they do such stuff. But I think that instead we should try and be as productive and positive as possible. Number 6, as I often mentioned, I'm a bit biased, so not all my ideas are ethical perhaps, but I'm a big fan of Italian football, so that's another thing I stand for, to support Italian football and try and help it to become the best. And I'd love to share my ideas as a dyslexic, a neurodiverse person, and what those creative, out-of-the-box ideas could do, hopefully, to make Italian football number 1. Number 7, I also support Celtic, but I think that's more ethical because Celtic does more ethical work than Serie A or Italian football. So I hope that Italian football will do more for charity as well and become more ethical and take on some of those negative things. Number 8, I think it'd be good to try and make the world a better place and be as positive and loving and kind and caring as possible, and like stand for peace and love, not hate or violence. and that sort of thing. Number 9, I hope to look at how my writing or work can make the world a better place, and share that information and with developing countries or colonized countries, or both. And number 10, I love to support young people and animals around the world, like children, young people and animals, and make the world a better place for those especially, and the most vulnerable 10% poorest people in all possible countries. Sorry if I spoke a bit fast because I was trying to get through quite a few points. Sorry if I was waffling, and I'm out. Peace and love.